Hi, I want to talk about dark comedy Self Reliance from 2023. It's the feature directorial debut of actor Jake Johnson, who also writes and stars in the film. Johnson plays Tommy, who comes across as numb. His bland office job is unfulfilling. Tommy is not over his ex. They split up 2 years before after 23 years together. That's a long time. Basically his only girlfriend. Her name is Teresa, played by Natalie Morales. And she now has a baby with someone else. That is pretty quick moving on, rubbing salt in his heartache. The sundering of their relationship seems to have frozen Tommy in place, compounding abandonment vulnerability. As his father walked out on their family when Tommy was 10 years old. No explanation, just left. Tommy has no closure from either Teresa, who he can't pluck up the courage to ask why she dumped him, or his father. So Tommy is not in a good place. Then along comes a bizarre opportunity. Opportunity might not be the right word, because alarm bells blare. One day, walking home from work, a limo parks by him, and actor Andy Samberg, playing a meta version of himself, invites Tommy into the car. Samberg can't believe Tommy actually gets into the car of a random person, even if that person is a celebrity. Samberg proceeds to offer Tommy a vague proposition with virtually no details. Again, Samberg can't believe Tommy wants to find out more. Samberg then delivers Tommy to a shady warehouse where two Scandinavians offer an indecent proposal. The proposal is to participate in a survival reality game show on the dark web. Tommy would be a contestant where if he makes it to day 30 without being murdered by a coterie of hunters, he gets $1 million. Of course, The Running Man springs to mind, the novel by Stephen King, and the two movie adaptations. The big difference here is that Self Reliance plays proceedings for dark laughs rather than action thrills. I kept thinking Tommy's going to be forced to play once learning of the game. But refreshingly, he's repeatedly offered the opportunity not to go forward. $1 million before taxes does not seem enough. It's not Squid Game money. He still accepts, which shows Tommy's nihilism and despondency. Self-Reliance doesn't linger to dwell on his choice to play. It lets you think about that once the credits roll. The other big difference with The Running Man is Tommy's correct concern about collateral damage to loved ones by being physically near to the contestant. The Scandinavian gamesmiths reassure Tommy with a tantalizing lifeline. He cannot be targeted if he is in close quarters to another person. So for 30 days, he needs to always be next to someone to be safe. You may think that is easy, but the film shows how hard that is. Primarily because all those close to Tommy do not believe the game exists and fear for his sanity. I like that Self-Reliance brings in the proximity rule. It is perhaps an observation on the distancing, isolation and loneliness of the COVID pandemic. Very few films have tackled those pandemic years and the toll it took on the world. I hope more movies try to help audiences unpack the aftermath of COVID. There is a lot to like with Self-Reliance. It's not perfect, but writer-director Jake Johnson can hold his head up. He has made a commendable directorial debut. Throughout most of the film, I wondered, is it a dark game? Or is it a prank? Or is it in his mind? There is plenty of cringe comedy, especially the family stuff. When his father reappears after 3 decades as part of the game, it is watched through your fingers as his family think he has lost it. His 2 sisters and mother are funny, as is his brother-in-law. Mixed in with the laughs, Jake Johnson shows an aptitude for horror. There are a few scary scenes that I admired. Firstly, the sudden appearance of personal assistant ninjas. You should watch the movie to see what I'm talking about. Secondly, a hunter dressed like Super Mario walking backwards is strangely unnerving. Thirdly, an Ellen DeGeneres impersonator bludgeons Tommy. However, there is not enough danger. Self-Reliance is not the equivalent of John Wick being hunted, even if they share an actor playing an assassin in both this film and the third John Wick. The director does not seem to really go all out with the thriller or horror elements here, prioritising humour instead of balancing the tones. A shame. I think that had genre elements been twisted together, Self Reliance would have been better received. Maybe next film Johnson will go full out and really make a name for himself behind the camera. Tommy puts out an advert online looking for a companion for the game. I'm not sure why he was not worried about revealing the game. Maddie, played by Anna Kendrick, answers the ad. She turns out to be an enigmatic liar. You wonder what she's after. Or is she one of the hunters? Anna Kendrick always adds value. By the way, you should check out her fantastic directorial debut, Woman of the Hour, also from 2023. Unfortunately, Self Reliance could have delved deeper about the vulnerable being exploited, but it doesn't. The movie opts for laughs over socio-political commentary. Part of the climax of Self Reliance involves Tommy sheltering among the unhoused, but does not say anything about the circumstances that lead to rough sleeping. Maybe I'm asking too much of the film. Perhaps it is enough that desperation and homelessness are included in the story. I'm trying to avoid spoilers. I will say this, the ending should have been ambiguous. The audience should have been asking themselves if the entire story from the limo scene onwards was in Tommy's head. All the director had to do was not include a cameo, a third-party witness, to corroborate all that had happened. If Johnson had just left out that cameo, the film would have been elevated instantly into something darker and more interesting. Overall, I would recommend putting Self Reliance on your to-watch list. There is stylish production design and slick lighting. The film is polished. Jake Johnson shows real potential as a filmmaker. He just needs to up the darker elements and add more substance, and he's there. If you want to delve further into the ideas and themes of Self Reliance, I have some movie recommendations for you. Firstly, for movies involving the poor, desperate and vulnerable exploited for the pleasure of the rich, check out Escape Room 1 and 2 from 2019 and 2021. And if you enjoy schlock, see Hard Target starring Jean-Claude Van Damme and Gamer starring Gerard Butler. For films questioning reality, see Total Recall starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Existence directed by David Cronenberg, The Matrix starring Keanu Reeves. For the rich, being forced into an unnerving game, see The Most Dangerous Game from 1932 and The Game, directed by David Fincher, starring Michael Douglas. For brutal survival movies involving contestants, see Battle Royale, The Hunger Games, The Long Walk. For dark laughs involving survival, check out The Belko Experiment from the director of Wolf Creek and Guns Akimbo starring Daniel Radcliffe. I hope you enjoy these movie recommendations, and if you enjoyed my review, feel free to subscribe to my channel and like this video.